We should look to say that when I went to work, I did the best I could. I worked for other people like I wanted them to work for me, and I wished our governments would do that. That they would be frugal, that they would stand up and look like they're alive and work in a proper and feasible way and get off of this idea of borrowing so much money to live on and work on. Thank you.
Thank you.
I want to give a voice of compliment to the council. Having been 12 years on that side of the bench, it's a hard job. And if there's hard decisions, you'll always have hard decisions and lots of hard decisions to make. You ought to use the Obama, Pelosi, Reid venue and just blame the past administrations. Most of us are gone now, the rest of us are senile, so you can blame us for any bad decisions. If you read the letter to the editor on Saturday's paper, you'll have a little glimpse of what I'm talking about. Anyway, I want to just talk a couple of issues and throw out a little bit of things for the citizens. The city's unique in the fact they can build anywhere they want to build. And you guys, your Bible I know, and I guess I left mine here with the city after I left, but the Bible is obviously the residential zone, our plan. And I've served on some committees with some of the parents here that have been involved in the master plan. And if I ever given advice to young people, and you guys are young people, okay, if I ever given advice to a young council, I would say, son, follow the plan, okay? There never has been a plan on the master plan for an industrial area or a commercial building or a Sydney maintenance garage at the top of 2600 North on the foothills. Never has been there. I've been involved in 2 revisions of the master plan. It has never been on the master plan. If you can find me a master plan where it says that. Now let me give you a little bit of the history. How many have seen this? The lacrosse park. How many have seen that? That's on North Ogden City, Kent Jones, city engineer, paper, all right? This is what the people were shown when they bought their homes there. Now, how would you like to buy a home from Bruce Jones? Now, Bruce Jones is a silver tongue. He was silver tongue back when we were there, okay? The first conceptual plan I saw on the city council, the road went on through and came down on the mountain road. This soccer park, this park wasn't on there. The road went on through as a loop. Obviously, we didn't even build a cul-de-sac there, okay? Now, let's go back to the floods of 82, 83. We'll even go back history farther. Coldwater, does anybody remember Coldwater Creek being a great big river for a period of time? The property lines were poorly defined after that period of time because the creek changed a lot of different directions. Came down through my backyard, they ran a D9 cap, all the way down through there, all the way down to Oak Lawn Park. The property lines were poorly defined after that period of time. We dealt with Deverell, we dealt with Dunkley, we had North Ogden City, we bought property there. We later on donated the property for the equestrian park. We made an area here for a future park. We've got the other area we're now filling with gravel. Now I'm gonna, you know, these aren't my homes, but they're Halls and Russells and all of them. How would you like to have a developer come along with this plan, okay, as a city council, and say, I want to sell you this lot, all right? Now we'll either have an industrial area here with trucks and gas and diesel and salt and sand and everything else there, or we'll have a park. One or the other. What do you think? How would the sales go? They wouldn't go at all. Harry's Grove would have never been completed had they known that it was going to be that type of an entity. It's not on the master plan, just because in Article B, single-family residential zone. And I want to, and I'll take just 2 or 3 more minutes, Mayor, when we get this done. This is Chapter 7 of our zones, right? Of our Planning Commission, right? You all recognize this. You all have a book just like this. It has it in Chapter 7.
It's online.
Oh, it's online. I'm sorry. That's right. We have, you know, and Eddie, you're going to have a hard time getting a copy of my doodling notes because I'm in the generation when we just doodle them down. Anyway, this reads single-family residential zones. Okay, 11.7b, purpose and intent. 11.7b2, the permitted uses. Purpose and intent. Now here's this is the council listen to it, but the citizens listen to it. The purpose of these zones, R1 12.5, they happen to be in an R1 10. That's 10,000 square feet. The zoning classification is to provide regulated areas for single-family residential use at 3 different low-density levels, okay? Residential, related areas for single-family residential use at 3 different low-density areas. Then they go on and say you can have pigs. You can't have pigs. You can have some horses and cows if you have enough acreage. Home daycare, home occupation, household pets, libraries. Here's the catch-all, citizens, that the city can do. Public buildings, public parks, recreation grounds, and associated buildings. You can build them. You can build them. Any of those things. You can build public parks. None of us will have a complaint about that. Public recreation grounds and associated buildings. You can do those. I think the criteria for a public building does not fit the criteria for the city maintenance buildings. Could I take my grandkids over and pack a lunch and go over and visit Mel? I know Mel real well. In fact, he was before Dale Chapman. He was Dale Chapman's assistant way back when, back in the dark ages. Could I pack a picnic lunch? Could I pack a picnic lunch and go over to the city? Mel, would you welcome me and my family over there? Could we get around? I used to bring donuts over there. Could I go over there now with my family and sit around and have a lunch? Can I play on the equipment?
Current place?
Current place. Okay. So it's really not a public building. It's not something that I can use as a public building. I left here the other day after meeting with you, Mayor, and went over and sat in our old office building over here. No one kicked me out. I could have ordered pizza probably. Sat there, waited for Polo to come, visit with Polo and Kevin, some of the guys I know. It's a public building. This will not be a public building. Now, with that aspect in mind, we know the city can do whatever they want, but there's a very smart mayor up in Hennifer, okay? And there's by the name of Randy Ovord, all right? It looks like all I do is read papers, because you know what? The letter to the editor and other stuff is all in there. Let me end with this quote from Randy Ovord over there. I don't know if you know him at our regional meetings and that, but he's the mayor of Hennifer. You've all been following this proposed military adjacent thing that's up in Summit County. Does that ring a bell with anybody in the council? I know, Martha, you're shaking your head. They proposed to do a military establishment up there on 2,500 acres, not 5 acres, 2,500 acres up there between I-84 and I-80 in that area, to train military personnel with snipers and guns and stuff. Mayor Randy Ovord, and let me end with this, because this does apply to you guys on council. Mayor Randy Ovord, I'm an advocate of private property rights, said Hennifer Mayor Randy Ovord. But I do not believe it would be something I would want in my backyard by my property. We're talking 2,500 acres. And Mayor Randy Ovord says, I don't want this in my backyard, okay? He goes on and says, I don't even live next to it. Now here's where you guys, the little kicker for you guys. I don't even live next to it, but this does affect other people in my city, and that becomes a problem for me, okay? And obviously, you've got a problem. You've got enough people here that you've got a problem. He goes on and says, we need to respect other people's property rights. The people up there bought land, parked by it, they bought the land. Do the right thing. Sell the land for a developer and let him develop it, or build a park. It'd be a great jump-off point for hiking the Canal Road. There's always cars parked there. Nancy and I hike that area. 4 or 5 cars parked in that area every time we hike, because that's the only place to park on the canal trail system. We hike up Coldwater, we hike up the Big Rock. Do the right thing. Take the initiative and make citizens happy and do the right thing. Please. Thank you.
Thank you, Alan.
And then I can't give you a copy of this. I mean, I'll give you what I've
Could you
got.
state your name and address?
Oh, Alan Christiansen. Yeah.
Hi, I'm Mary Settlemyer at 2701 Mountain Road. Some of the stuff I've got wrote down here has already been covered, so I'll skip part of it, but I really have a problem with 2 things. The first one being the latest round of how this putting a maintenance shop on Mountain Road was handled. I need to clarify that most of the knowledge I have is secondhand knowledge. Some of it comes from the people in Heritage Grove and some from the newspaper. But since the mayor and the council only found it necessary to inform the residents of Heritage Grove community instead of the whole neighborhood that would be impacted by this decision, I wasn't at the meeting, so I have to go with secondhand knowledge. I live on 2701 Mountain Road, which puts me right across the street from the equestrian park. So I know what goes on up there and what it's like. Whatever you do in that area is really going to impact me. I'm not very happy about not being notified, and I'm really not alone because there's a lot of other people that feel the same way I do. When I hear or read things like a secret meeting behind closed doors, minutes said to not be taken, or minutes said to be confidential, I tend to be concerned about what's happening in my government. As part of we the people,